does not divide and destroy us. I'm very, very lucky to know our next speaker personally and to know that she lives and breathes this challenge and to eradicating it. It is my utmost honor to welcome my dear friend, Baroness Joanna Shields.
Your Excellencies, colleagues, and there are many here today that have been on this journey together for decades to protect the rights and the freedoms of young people, to ensure that they have safe housing and food. And I look around and I recognize many of your faces, and we are incredibly grateful to your commitment, unwavering commitment to this agenda. And I want to thank our child representatives today, our young representatives. They're quite grown up, actually. And Ramon, for your moving testimony. And I look forward to Diana, to hearing your work. And it's so powerful to hear their voices and to understand the context of why we're here today. On behalf of Her Majesty's Government of the United Kingdom and the WePROTECT Global Alliance to end child sexual exploitation online, I would like to thank the governments of Mexico, Indonesia, Sweden, and Tanzania for hosting this event today, and for your unwavering commitment to protecting vulnerable children from violence and harm. Today we gather to reaffirm our commitment to the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child and the Sustainable Development Goals, and to launch the Global Partnership to End Violence Against Children and its associated fund, which will bring its projects to life. Thinking about the reasons we are gathered here today reminded me of the closing line of this year's Tony Award-winning musical Hamilton, which asks the audience a simple question: when my time is up, have I done enough? There are times in our lives when we are faced with brutal realities, and how we react to these challenges defines us and defines our humanity. This is one of those times, and the task before us represents an enormous responsibility. The progress we make together will determine the future of over 1 billion children who suffer violence in their everyday lives. Children living in harm's way in crisis and conflict zones, and children who are victims of sexual abuse and exploitation online. Today, I'd like to focus on the latter for a moment. I passionately believe that in order to protect children from harm and violence in the 21st century, we must act to secure their safety online. Children like Diana and Ramon, who have joined us here today, are the voices that we must answer to. They have the right to be safe online, to explore, to create, to dream, and to achieve their potential. It's incredible when you see the wonder they experience as they discover the world online, their eyes illuminated with the glow of their digital devices. But parents, caregivers, teachers, they can't always monitor their actions or protect them from those who intend to do them harm. Because technology empowers equally, and tragically, criminals with a sexual interest in children are joining forces with other offenders online to abuse children on a mass scale. Sexual predators can pay to watch live streaming of children being sexually abused, and children are being coerced into producing sexually explicit images of themselves after being groomed online by people they've never met. This must stop. We must turn technology against the criminals online who abuse children. That's why we founded WePROTECT, and the UK has been leading this agenda with the support of Prime Minister David Cameron and the Home Secretary Theresa May. In December 2014, we convened for the first time the WePROTECT Summit in London to agree a multi-stakeholder global response to this horrific crime. We set out the challenge for countries, companies, and civil society organizations to protect children from harm no matter where they live in the world. The second WePROTECT Summit, hosted last November by the United Arab Emirates in Abu Dhabi, secured an even wider reach for the WePROTECT remit, bringing a total of 63 countries signing the Global Commitments of Action and the Model National Response Program, and over 30 companies and international organizations supporting the global commitments. Since then, we've gone from strength to strength by merging the Global Alliance Against Child Sexual Abuse Online, which was started and led by the US Department of Justice and the EU Commission. Our newly merged WePROTECT Global Alliance represents a unified global movement to eradicate child sexual abuse and exploitation wherever it happens worldwide. The Internet Watch Foundation, committed to working with technology companies to share hashes or digital fingerprints of so far 19,000 indecent images of children, all of which were circulating online. These have now been accessed and shared with 5 major technology global platforms, enabling them to remove these images and videos from their platforms and products and preventing the sharing of these illegal sexual abuse images. Our mission: to empower everyone with a responsibility to protect children online with the best tools and technologies and support to identify and safeguard victims, to remove child abuse material from the internet, and to track down perpetrators all over the world. But all of this work requires resources to ensure maximum impact. Over the past year, the United Kingdom, in partnership with our friends at UNICEF, funded £10 million in programs, projects, and initiatives in 17 countries. This has delivered concrete action. Just a few of the recent examples include the rescue of 18 children from sexual exploitation in Madagascar. 2 exploitation rings were brought down in Guatemala, with 28 offenders investigated and prosecuted. And in Kenya, 2,244 child victims received support through child protection services. And now we have a growing body of evidence and proof of our impact. And the UK right now confirms our commitment to the fund of an additional $40 million over the next 4 years. Young people have a clear sense of the threat they face. 80% of the 18-year-olds surveyed in the 2016 UNICEF study believe that young people are in danger of being sexually exploited online. That is why UNICEF led the #ReplyForAll communications campaign to reach children and young people all over the world. The campaign's heartbreaking but inspiring video stories from victims of abuse and those who have stood up to end violence have already been shared 2.6 million times, and I urge you to view them and share them too. And this and other awareness-raising campaigns have reached over 13 million people in 17 countries. The launch of the fund today to end violence today will enable us to go on preventing and responding to all of the varied and dreadful forms of violence that children face. With your help, the fund can support the Pathfinders, they can implement the Inspire strategies, and ensure that the partnership can deliver its goals to meet that commitment that we made in Sustainable Development Goal 16.2. To end abuse, exploitation, trafficking, and all forms of violence and torture of children. No one country, organization, or company can solve these problems alone. It takes us all, united and committed. And I believe in my heart that we can beat this challenge, and the results are beginning to demonstrate what is possible when the world comes together. In closing, I'd like you to join me to answer the question I posed at the beginning. When our time is up, will we have done enough? Our answer must be yes.
Thank you so much, Baroness Shields, for your, as always, inspiring and incisive words. And thank you to the United Kingdom. Unfortunately, sometimes ideas and passion are not enough. They have to be funded. And it's such a fantastic thing that you've spearheaded with David Cameron and your government. Thank you. Our next guest is another inspiring woman and leader. Please welcome 15-year-old Diana Melissa from El Salvador.
Tengan todos y todas muy buenas tardes. En nombre de 1.530 niñas, niños y adolescentes de 24 países que participamos de la consulta sobre el problema de la violencia, queremos agradecer la iniciativa y esta oportunidad en la que estamos hoy con ustedes. Resaltaré en este espacio 3 aspectos que son compartir los resultados de la consulta, lo que esperamos los niños, niñas y adolescentes de la Alianza y las recomendaciones sobre el tema de la violencia que identificamos. En primer lugar, reconocer que ningún tipo de violencia hacia la niñez es aceptable y que prevenirla y eliminarla depende de cada uno de los que estamos acá. Por eso identificamos las siguientes acciones. Políticas públicas de seguridad que protejan los derechos de la niñez y exigir el cumplimiento de las leyes que prohíben el maltrato a la niñez. Invertir en la niñez, especialmente en educación, y en fortalecer los sistemas nacionales de protección. Presionar a los estados y a los gobiernos a erradicar las causas de la violencia, tales como la pobreza, las desigualdades, la discriminación, la delincuencia, las maras, las pandillas, la corrupción, los modelos de crianza que no son adecuados, el abuso de poder, entre otras. Reiteramos el llamado a todos los sectores de no naturalizar e institucionalizar la violencia, trabajando con el uso del poder y romper los círculos de la violencia que se dan de generación en generación. Urge el fortalecimiento de la familia a través de talleres, a través de generación de empleo, programas de atención psicosocial y de salud mental. Institucionalizar la participación de niños, niñas y adolescentes como promotores de cambio de conductas no violentas por una disciplina positiva y una cultura de paz. Regularizar los contenidos de los medios de comunicación de imágenes y mensajes que dañan la integridad física y emocional de los niños, niñas y adolescentes, que los discrimina y los estigmatiza. Por ejemplo, un joven es un sinónimo de delincuente. ¿Qué esperamos de la Alianza? Esperamos que actúen con hechos ante nuestros llamados y nosotros los niños y los niños queremos ser parte activa de la Alianza desde su formación, su planificación hasta su seguimiento, porque somos víctimas directas de la violencia y debemos ser parte de la solución. Paciencia, perseverancia, constancia, compromiso y que sigan adelante no bajando los brazos, porque en estos momentos, ahora mismo, hay uno o varios niños, niñas y adolescentes violentados en algún lugar del mundo, que ahora no pueden esperar. Gracias.
Thank you so much, Diana. What courage and leadership both you and Ramon have shown us today. Ramon and Diana are 2 of over 1,900 young people that have been helping the partnership create strategies and solutions. Without them and their real-life perspectives, this would not be a success, and it won't be. Again, thank you. I don't think we can thank you enough. Our next speaker will tell us a bit more about these solutions that we are creating together. Please welcome to the stage Dr. Etienne Krug, Director of the World Health Organization's Department for Management of Non-Communicable Diseases, Disability, Violence, and Injury Prevention. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Tony, to start this new partnership by turning my back to you, but it's not intentional. I have no choice. And good afternoon, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to be here today for the launch of the partnership and the fund. And very excited that Dr. Chan, just a few minutes ago, has launched Inspire, a compilation of 7 strategies for ending violence against children. As Tony said, you can find copies of Inspire in the 6 UN languages just outside the door here. And over the next 3 minutes, my job is to lift a little bit of the veil on those 7 strategies. The launch of Inspire marks 3 main achievements. First, we now have 7 key strategies, which, if implemented, could lead to major reductions in violence against children. All are based on solid evidence. Each letter of the word inspire stands for one of the strategies. The first I stands for implementation and enforcement of laws, including laws against violent punishment, against sexual abuse and exploitation, and to limit access to alcohol and firearms. N stands for norms and values change, with a focus on changing the idea that some forms of violence are not only normal, but sometimes considered acceptable. S stands for safe environments and involves programs to create safe housing, public buildings and schools, community centers, and provision of street lighting, for example. P stands for parent and caregiver support, aimed at reducing harsh parenting practices and creating positive parent-child relationship. A lot of violence results from dysfunctional parenting. Group-based parent training and support programs can reduce parents' use of physical violence against their teenage children by over 40%. I stands for income and economic strengthening to reduce families' economic insecurity, which is another cause of violence against children. R stands for response and support services for children affected by violence. These include, for example, shelters, case management, post-rape health services, treatment programs for juvenile offenders, and foster care. And finally, E stands for education and life skills. In various countries, school-based life and social skills training programs have reduced fighting, hitting, and bullying by a quarter. A second major achievement of having this Inspire package is that actually it resulted from the collaboration of 10 international agencies with input from civil society. Together they agreed that this is the way forward. In addition to the World Health Organization, these agencies are the United States Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Global Partnership Secretariat itself, PAHO, the Pan American Health Organization, PEPFAR, Together for Girls, UNICEF, the UN Office for Drugs and Crime, UNODC, USAID, and the World Bank. And I'd like to take this opportunity to warmly thank them for the great collaboration in developing this Inspire package. Our agreement on a common way forward should pave the way for clearer communication and more effective implementation. And finally, I'm delighted that the new global partnership has adopted the 7 strategies as the building blocks for country action. This means that they will be at the forefront of the partnership's implementation drive, and this will do much to ensure their widespread dissemination and uptake. We now have the package. We have commitment across agencies. We have a partnership to support implementation and a fund. Those of us who've worked in the field have been waiting for this moment for many, many years. It's time now for action to deliver on the promise of the Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Krug. We are painfully aware of the challenge. We are aware of the solutions. Now it's time to spread them far and wide. To help us do that, we have UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador, Liam Neeson. On film. Sorry.
We were all children once. No matter where in the world or under what circumstances we were born, a future lay ahead of us. The thing is, every adult today has grown up in a world where violence against children happens everywhere.
Every day, millions of children are victims of violence in their homes, schools, and communities.
And that's in all parts of the world.
In fact, less than 10% of children in the world live in countries where laws protect them from all forms of violence.
Every day I see violence in my community. I feel sad because for more than decades now, the situations of children cannot change. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to the children of Liberia.
Violence affects the development of a child's brain, her ability to learn, to trust others.
There are other ways of raising children than beating them. We know that.
So how do we expect then these children to get the kind of education that we all deserve?
If a child is scared of the teacher, the child cannot ask questions, the child cannot perform well in class, the child cannot be settled. If you abuse me, it will remain on my heart until even I die.
Every child hurts every one of us.
The impact follows them wherever they go.
Nosotros los niños y niñas tratamos de mejorar los diferentes problemas que tenemos en nuestra comunidad. Nosotros queremos tener una sociedad donde no haya violencia, donde los padres no maltraten a sus hijos.
Nosotros repetimos y no entiende. Ese es el problema de mi comunidad.
Millions of boys and girls are born into conflict, at risk of violence during migration, or sold as objects.
But it doesn't have to be that way. It's time to stop.
The Global Partnership imagines the world differently.
A coalition of partners around the world intent on implementing the new Sustainable Development Goals. In particular, the goals that relate to the protection of children from violence, exploitation, abuse, neglect, trafficking, and torture.
Achieving these goals requires partnerships and collective action.
I suffered on my childhood. I lived in a dump site before. Some basic rights that children should have is a safe and a peaceful community, and they should have a loving family. And for us to achieve that dream, us, the children, the public community, and the government must help each other.
We want the next generation of children to grow up in a world where they don't have to fear for their safety.
A world where they can grow to their full potential. Because you can never tell what a child might become one day.
I want to remember today as a day when things started to change.
Jag vill att vuxna ska respektera barn.
بدي أكبر من دون ما أخاف من عنف.
I want all children to have a loving home.
That's why the global partnership to end violence is so important. If we can't unite around preventing violence against children, what in the world can we unite around?
We can do better.
It's a dream, but it can be achieved.
An end to the cycle of violence is possible.
The time to start is now.
Yeah, welcome to our future. Your contribution, please.
We saw many of the faces in this video, both on stage, but also in the audience. So please let's give all of our speakers for this first segment and the rest fighting for this cause in the room a big round of applause before we let you eat your second course.
And could I ask for a big round of applause for Natalia and a wonderful moderator? And thank you.
Now we eat for a few minutes. Our next portion will begin very soon.